Take a look at this, guys. How's this for a fact? For the cost of Republican tax cuts, we can give working Americans up to $18,000 a year. Wow. Yeah, apparently I was wrong about something. So I always used to argue that I support what's called a negative income tax. So the way it works now is we have a progressive income tax where, you know, the lowest bracket pays nothing, and then you work your way up, whatever it might be, 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, 25%, yada, yada. You go all the way up to the top marginal rate, which is 39.6% right now. A negative income tax means that the people at the bottom who are making nothing or who are making very little, it doesn't start at like zero. It starts at like negative 10%. So you get a subsidy. If you don't make enough money to survive, you get, by default, a subsidy because you're in a negative income tax bracket. That was always my position over universal basic income, because universal basic income, to me, I didn't know how economically feasible it was. Like, in other words, how possible it is. And I also didn't want to give unnecessarily money to people like fucking Paris Hilton and Donald Trump's shitty sons and Mitt Romney's shitty sons. They don't need it. They don't deserve it. Shouldn't get it. So my position's always been negative income tax is preferable because it gets the money to the people who need it. When I read a headline like this, I go, oh, maybe I was wrong. I didn't know that. $18,000 a year to working Americans. Okay, they're talking about working Americans, not all Americans. Working Americans. That's interesting. That's a little distinction there, which is pretty important. But that's the cost of the Republican tax cuts for the rich. Oh. Isn't that crazy? And nobody ever asks, hey, can we afford these rich tax cuts? Look at the Obamacare replacement bill, Trump Care 3.0. There's $600 billion worth of tax cuts for the rich in just that. That's an extra $200,000 each to people in the top 0.1% every year. I mean, that's fucking crazy. And that's just that. And then they want to get rid of the estate tax. They want to cut the corporate tax. So for all these terrible tax cuts that are geared towards the richest of the rich, $18,000 a year can go to every working person. That really is amazing, and it shows you. By the way, redistribution of wealth is often maligned as if it's some sort of dirty, concept. If you don't do redistribution, you do know that the richest, 6 people, 8 people in the world have more wealth than the bottom 3.6 billion. 8 people have more than 50% of the world combined. So in other words, if you're not in favor of some version of redistribution of wealth, you're an idiot. Because it's not like those 8 people just worked harder and they earned it. That's not the case at all. So, that concept's been unfairly maligned. Like, redistribution. What do you want to do? Like, take money away from a guy who has $5 billion and, like, pay for 300,000 kids' health care to make sure they don't die? Pfft, what are you, stupid? Yeah, I kind of want to do that. You don't? And look at this. $18,000 to working people for the cost of Republican tax cuts. That's an incredible fact.